Hey everybody, welcome to Worship Uncoiled Online Round 2. We are super excited to be back with you again tonight. Again, we are doing it this way because we can't get together because of the coronavirus, but we are glad that you decided to join us online, and we will be back together as soon as we possibly can. But until that happens, we will have stuff right here streaming into your living room online so that we can still have some semblance of Worship Uncoiled. Every week we start Worship Uncoiled off with the thing that we like to call the draw. For those of you that don't know, the draw is a drawing we do every single week. When a student comes and they sign themselves in on our iPad, they put their name on a piece of paper, drop it in a bucket, and every week we do a drawing for a $10 gift card. This week we have Steak and Shake, AMC, and Amazon to choose from. And the way it's going to work is you can comment on this video on Facebook or YouTube. You can send me an email saying that you are watching, and any of those ways will get you into the draw. And then when Worship Uncoiled is supposed to be over at 8 o'clock, I will put all of those names that I get into a hat. I will draw out the winner for the draw, and I will post the draw video shortly after 8 o'clock. Hey, every week we also do a thing that we call the challenge. It's a crazy game that I either make up or hear about somewhere, and we all play together, and the winner gets to pick a prize from our prize table. And this week, you're going to get to pick a prize from our prize table if you are the winner. Here's the way this works. You need a straw. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's plastic, metal, whatever it is. You just need a straw. What you're going to do is you're going to take the straw, put it in your mouth like this, not like this, on the edge of the straw right here, and then your goal is to move it with just your lips and your tongue and turn it around. So it looks something like this. There you go. We're going to set a 3-minute timer. The person that can turn it around the most times in that 3-minute timer wins. If you drop the straw, that's okay. Not a big deal. Either pick it up and keep going, or make sure you have extra straws there that you can grab if you don't want to pick a straw up off the floor. Post the number of times you got the straw turned around in our Facebook comments, our YouTube comments, or you can email the number of times to me at cjmustin@fccbrazil.org, and I will announce the winner at 8 o'clock when I announce the winner of the draw. Good luck. Have fun. So every week we talk about this thing called kingdom work. Now here's the beauty of kingdom work is that it's whatever you love, whatever you're passionate about, whatever gifts and abilities you have, you go out and you do those things with excellence. And in the midst of doing those things with excellence, you show Christ to the people around you. It's whatever God has gifted you with that you use for His glory. We learned about this at a conference called CIY, or Christ in Youth. We go there every summer, 1 week for middle school, 1 week for high school. We would love for you to join us on these conferences this year to learn more about kingdom work. Check out these videos for CIY Mix and CIY Move, and you can sign up by emailing me at cjmustin@fccbrazil.org. Now we come again to a time of worship. Just like last week, I posted links to a few songs down in the comments section of our Facebook and YouTube videos. If you would pause this video and go listen to those songs for our worship time, and then when you're done listening to those songs, go ahead and hit play again, and we'll head into our lesson time. So a few months ago, our family went to go see the movie Dr. Dolittle. We absolutely loved it. And on the way home, we asked each other, what our favorite part of the movie was and who our favorite character was. My favorite character was Chi-Chi. Now, Chi-Chi was Dr. Doolittle's right-hand man. But you learned very quickly that this giant silverback gorilla named Chi-Chi was terrified of everything. You know, we live in a time where things are a little bit scary. Things are a little bit uncertain, and the coronavirus continues to spread. Things are starting to shut down, and we live in a time of uncertainty. And so the question tonight is simply this: how do we handle ourselves in the midst of fear? How do we handle ourselves in the midst of uncertainty? When I was a kid, I was shorter than everybody else. And so when I went to the doctor, they realized that my height was slowing down and was not keeping up with where it should be. And so they sent me to this specialist called an endocrinologist. It's a doctor that specializes on growth in the pituitary gland, which is right here in your head. I went to this endocrinologist, and I had checkups every 6 months just to check on my height. Now, my parents were both short, and so they weren't super concerned at the start. But pretty soon, 6-month appointments turned into 3-month appointments, and 3-month appointments turned into more serious discussions as to whether I needed to do therapy for my growth hormone deficiency. Therapy involved me taking an injection or a shot of growth hormone every single day. For a while, everything seemed uncertain for me. And so how do we handle ourselves in the midst of uncertainty? How do we handle ourselves in the midst of fear? In John chapter 16, Jesus and his disciples are facing a time of uncertainty. In John chapter 16, starting in verse 32, it says this: "Behold, the hour is coming. Indeed, it has come when you will be scattered, each to his own home, and will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, for the Father is with me." Jesus is telling his disciples at this time, look, I am going to go to the cross. I am going to be crucified. I will not be with you much longer. And he says, you guys are all going to leave me all alone. It's a time of uncertainty for his disciples. And you know, when I think about Jesus going to the cross, I often picture Jesus as like this stone cold hero walking toward the cross. Like in the movies where the explosion happens behind the person and they're just kind of walking out like, oh yeah. I picture Jesus going to the cross, and as he's taking the beatings and as he's getting his hands nailed, he's like, yeah, watch this. Just you wait. 3 days from now, I'm going to come back. But the Gospels really give a different story, because while Jesus was fully God and he knew that he was going to rise 3 days later, he was also fully human. And so I wonder what uncertainties the human side of Jesus must have faced. I wonder what questions he had. Questions like, what will the loneliness feel like as everybody deserts me? Will I be able to handle the whips raking across my back? What will it feel like to be completely humiliated? How long will it take me to die? What will it be like to experience death? You see, Jesus faced uncertainty moving toward the cross. We're facing a time of uncertainty right now with the coronavirus. We're facing this time where we don't know how bad it's going to get. We don't know what is going to shut down. And oftentimes when we face times of uncertainty, the other areas in our life that are also uncertain become even more unsettling. And so I want to look at how Jesus responds to this time of uncertainty that he and his disciples are about to face. In the following verse, Jesus says something that is super important. In chapter 16, verse 33, he says, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. And then he goes on to say, in this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. In this world, you will have trouble. It's true. It's going to happen. Trouble is going to come upon us. But Jesus says something, and I think he chooses his words very carefully as he speaks here. You know, Jesus doesn't say in this world you're going to have trouble, but you're not allowed to be afraid of it. He doesn't say in this world you're going to have trouble, but you're going to have to just get over it. He doesn't say in this world you're going to have trouble, but you can't be anxious about it. No, he says in this world you're going to have trouble, and then he carefully says, take heart. I think that communicates something very important. It communicates that fear and frustration and all the emotions that go along with the time of trouble are normal emotions. The important part is how we handle those emotions. In Dr. Dolittle, there is this moment where Dr. Dolittle's ship is being attacked by pirates. And the doctor is there with Chi-Chi the gorilla and a whole bunch of other animals. And in that moment, Chi-Chi freezes. And then when the battle ends, Chi-Chi is laying under a pile of rubble looking at Dr. Dolittle, almost crying. And he says, "I'm sorry, Doc. I froze." And the doctor says, "No, Cheech. I'm fine. We're fine. We're all fine." He says, "Cheech, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid." And I think Jesus communicates here, it's okay to be afraid. And in the midst of that fear, we can take heart. You see, take heart doesn't communicate, don't be afraid. Don't fear. Take heart doesn't communicate that it's not right to feel your emotions. Take heart communicates that your emotions are valid. And it's what you do with your emotions that counts. And Jesus says, "I said this so that you can have peace." You see, in the midst of fear, we can find peace. I'll never forget going to the doctor. When I was in 3rd grade, I had been going for years. And in 3rd grade, I went and I stood with my feet against the wall like I had done more times than I could count. And I stretched myself up really tall like I had done more times than I could count. And they measured me. And the doctor came back in and she said, "You did not grow at all. As a matter of fact, in the past year, you have not grown at all." And then she said these words, "I think it's time to start growth hormone therapy." Ah, man, my mind was blown. I had questions galore. What would it be like to take a shot every day? Would I be able to give myself shots? Would they hurt? How long would I have to take the shots? And what if this didn't work? But in the midst of those questions, I knew one thing. I knew that I was going to have to do it. And in the midst of the fear and the questions, it was okay to have questions and it was okay to be afraid. And as we go through this time of uncertainty, it's okay to have questions. And it's okay to be afraid. But Jesus Christ can offer you peace in the midst of fear. And peace in the midst of questions that may not be able to be answered right now. See, Jesus says, "I have said these things that you may have peace. In this world, you are going to have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world." Jesus says to his disciples in John as they walk toward this moment where they're all going to scatter, "Take heart, you can face this." Jesus says to his disciples, as they walk toward the cross. And I think he's saying it to himself as well. Take heart, you can face this. Take heart, you can do this. Take heart, you can find peace through this. I know this is a time of uncertainty, but take heart, because I am with you. I have already overcome the world. And Jesus would say the same thing to us. Take heart, you can face this. Take heart, you can do this. Take heart, I have already overcome the world. No matter what you face, no matter how bad it seems to get, I am right there with you. And with me, you can find peace in the midst of pain and uncertainty. In the movie Dr. Dolittle, there's this moment where the doctor is tied up and getting ready to be fed to a tiger. It's this really intense moment. And as the tiger comes toward the doctor, Chi-Chi the gorilla busts into the room. He is terrified of this tiger. But as he's terrified in the midst of his fear, he goes after this tiger, the whole time screaming, I am not a prisoner to fear. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. And as he is reminding himself that it's okay to be afraid, he is fighting off this tiger to protect his doctor. And I would say to you today, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid, but in the midst of your fear, you can do this. In the midst of your fear, you can face this. No matter what uncertainty may be happening in your life, God is right there with you. He is walking with you, and you can do this. Too often we communicate that it's not okay to be afraid. I want to let you know that it's okay. God gave you emotions to feel them. Let yourself feel them and find His peace in the midst of feeling your emotions. John chapter 16, verses 32 and 33. Behold, the hour is coming, and indeed it has come, when you will be scattered, each to his own home, and will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, for the Father is with me. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. The really practical question is this: how do we find God's peace in the midst of fear? Well, I think there are 3 really practical steps that we can work on continually throughout our lives. The first is this: have a loving relationship with Jesus Christ. Be honest with yourself that you trust Jesus Christ. Tell Him that you trust Him. If you don't have that relationship, I would love to talk to you. You can email me at cjmustin@fccbrazil.org and we'll get in touch. But that's the first step. Second step is this: name your fear. You see, we live in a culture where we feel like we have to be macho and never afraid. But the truth is that when we name our fear, when we are comfortable talking about the things that we're afraid of, there is a peace in the midst of that. When I can talk about my fear to someone else can give me more perspective on my fear and help me calm my nerves. And God can speak through other people in the midst of our fears. And so have a loving relationship with Jesus Christ. Name your fear. And the third thing is this: remind yourself of how God has taken care of you in the past. Remind yourself of how God has taken care of you in the past. You see, when we start to think about, man, God took care of me here in this tough situation, and He did this in this tough situation, and I should have never felt peace here, but He gave me peace even though things were crazy. It can help calm our fears. Jesus was honest. In this world, we're going to have trouble. But take heart. In Him, we can find peace. And so I always give a practical challenge for a next step. Tonight as a family, And this may actually be harder for parents than it is for the kids. I want you to name some of your fears. I want you to just be honest and say, hey, here's some things that I'm afraid of. And listen as your family members name their fears. And then listen as you name your fears to how your family members respond. And encourage one another in the midst of these. Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world. Hi, I'm CJ, and this is Worship Uncoiled News. First tonight, thanks for joining us on Worship Uncoiled Online. We are super excited that you joined us on either Facebook or YouTube. Worship Uncoiled Online will continue all the way through the month of April, so make sure you join us here every Sunday night on Facebook or YouTube. The videos will be posted by 6 o'clock so that you can be a part of everything that we normally do, even when we can't get together. All of our events for the month of April have also been canceled. That includes Sunday School, Worship Uncoiled, Open Gym, and our special events. We really miss meeting with you guys, but are excited to get back together once this coronavirus stuff has dissipated. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.